Good morning, boys and girls. How are you this fine Sunday morning? Getting near the end of July, kind of crazy. It's coming.
How would we start that?
Yeah.
One stumble is one thing. Two, now we start.
We'll just not even mention it's July. Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back. So glad you're here. Hope you're having a great summer vacation. We've been talking about the children of Israel and their travels through the wilderness, and they complained about no food, and they complained about no meat, and they complained about no water. And do you remember that miracle we talked about last week, boys and girls? Yeah, how God brought the water out of a rock. Moses had taken his rod and he had struck the rock, and Peter makes me nervous, boys and girls. He had struck the rock and out came the water. And I had challenged you at the end of last week to be more like Moses than to be like the children of Israel. How'd you do? Did you pray and ask God for the things that you needed? Did you obey what God says in His Word? Well, right after that, boys and girls, that story about the water ends in Exodus chapter 17, in about verse 7 or so. And then in verse 8 starts the very next story where we're picking up today. So it comes right after that. Okay, verse 8, I'm in Exodus 17 if you want to follow along. Then came Amalek and fought with Israel in Rephidim. Oh, a people group has come to fight the children of Israel. They are going to war. That's a little more than that, Peter. Whoa, that changed rather fast. They went from being super thirsty to being in battle. Verse number 9, and Moses said unto Joshua, choose us out men and go out, fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of God in mine hand. So Moses looks at Joshua and he says, Joshua, you pick out men who can help us. Peter, you pick out some men who can go to battle for us, all right? So Joshua picks out men and he's going to go to battle. And Moses says, now you go do it on your own and I'll just stay. No. Moses says, I will be there. I will be on the top of the hill. I'll be there with my rod. Real quick review, this rod, new to this week, but the rod of Moses, we've talked at least more than two. We've talked about several miracles with this rod. Most recently, what did we talk about, Peter? Striking the rock, that's right. We also talked about parting the Red Sea. We talked about the fact that this rod has become a snake. So this rod, obviously, for example, here, but Moses' rod, God has used in many ways, and He's going to use it again in today's story. Well, they wake up in the morning, they go to battle, Joshua is fighting, and Moses holds up his rod. And while that rod is up, they are winning. It is great. Joshua is succeeding. The Israelites are beating the Amalekites. This is great. But a battle lasts a little longer than 5 minutes, lasts longer than 10 minutes. An hour goes by and more time goes by, and Moses isn't exactly a spring chicken. Moses is starting to get tired and more tired. Well, he's got Aaron and Hur up there with them, H-U-R, not H-E-R. Aaron and Hur, and they're like, oh wait, let us get you a rock. We'll get you a rock, Moses. You can sit down on the rock and that will help. So Moses sits on the rock, but you ever hold your arms up for a long time, boys and girls? I bet if you tried to hold your arm up from now until this video is done, that your arm would be tired. I go ride my bike, boys and girls, and the way I sit in my handlebars, my hands get numb while I'm riding my bike. Maybe you can kind of picture it like that. Well, Moses starts to lower his rod. He needs a break. But when he lowers his rod, the people start losing. The Israelites are losing. They're getting beat in the battle. The Amalekites are winning, so Moses has to lift it back up. You know what, boys and girls? Moses needed help. Moses had to be the one to hold the rod up. But do you know what the Bible tells us that Aaron and Hur did? Aaron and Hur held up Moses. He told Peter's being bad, boys and girls. I don't trust you anymore, Peter. Too bad. So Peter was waiting for that. I kind of had a clue, but now you distracted from the story, Peter. Anyways, when Moses started to drop the rod, boys and girls, and they started to lose the battle, Aaron and Hur stepped in as helpful. Okay, they stepped in to aid Moses, and they held Moses' arms up, and Moses was able to hold the rod up, and Joshua and the Israelites were able to defeat the enemy. Boys and girls, God is always in control. God didn't lose control just because Moses put the rod down. It doesn't mean, oh, God lost his power. No, God had the power, but he wanted Moses to obey. He wanted Moses to do what was right. And Moses, even though he got tired, still had to do what's right. How about you this week, boys and girls? When you get tired, will you still do what's right, or will you use being tired as an excuse? God's not asking you to hold your hands up. He's not asking you to do something till your hands feel numb or tingly, or some of you like to make your hands fall asleep. God's not asking you to do that, boys and girls, but you know what? You get tired at night and mom says, go take the trash out. Oh, we should probably still do that, huh, Peter? Or you're supposed to get up in the morning because you have something you have to do or somewhere you need to go, and you say, I'm too tired. That's more me. Yeah, we still have to obey. This week, boys and girls, will you obey when you're tired? I bet you, boys and girls, that Jesus got pretty tired when he was here on earth. Talks about that in the New Testament. But Jesus still obeyed. Jesus didn't get too tired to go to the cross for you or for me, boys and girls. Jesus obeyed what the Heavenly Father wanted him to do. And he went to the cross and he died for you and for me. Will you obey this week? Nobody's putting you on a cross. And as tired as you are, you're probably not as tired as Jesus was. Will you obey even when you're tired this week? I hope so, boys and girls.